like a child again. If you get this pain and feel them teachers say, real men are fishing today. Then the cry never fail. Battling a pain. Stay strong, make me disappear. In I shed 19 years. My mind's a broken place. My memories and days I still not forgotten. Sorry to teach me that I'm shy. My soul needs a cleansing. Teach me how to cry. 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 Baby, release me. Baby, release me. I was taught to believe being a man is a full-time job. So don't be weak, be strong. That's what it takes. So show no weakness. Everybody hurts. Crying can be sickness. Let no winter smoke. Cry inside. I've been through it all. I've never shared nothing I know. 19 years and now I've forgotten what it's like to cry. Forgotten what it's like to cry. Baby, listen. Baby, release me. Baby, release me. Teach me how to cry.
Tafnaz,
What's the bad boy, baby?
what one?
What's good? What's good? What's happening?
Yeah man. Teach me how to cry. It's a classic gem from your first album.
After situationship.
Yeah, just tell us about this track. Just quickly take us through the track.
Okay, so cry. What can I say about cry? Okay, so this is what cry was. You see, cry was an ode to my dad. I lost my dad in 2017, and this is during a time. Even up to now, it's a time when I haven't really found my tears. Like, I haven't cried in 19 years now, like as you heard in the song. So I felt like, this also boils up, from the stigma that men are not supposed to cry. In Ndebele they say indoda ekhalela ngaphakathi, which means a man's tears are only seen on the inside. Men cry from within, but you see that level of strength is actually a weakness as well, because through tears we release pain. So I'm basically saying, listen, I want to break down the norms, I want to break down the barriers of the stigma behind the tears, and how tears have been feminized. The moment you're a man who cries, they think you're not masculine anymore, because it's been 19 years, but a big piece of me, a big part of me wishes I still had the ability to cry. So I'm still on that journey to refine my tears again, and this is why I say, teach me how to cry.
Yeah, man. So what inspires this R&B sound, like soul type of sound, neo soul?
It's inspired by my love for music. Really, it's not complicated. I grew up in the Seventh Adventist Church, and our backbone, our foundation was music. And growing up, watching a lot of Disney cartoons, I feel like all these musicals just sort of contributed, because as I grew older, the kind of music I listened to changed. I started listening to your old school music. I listened to your Ushers back then. I listened to your Luther Vandross. When I say Usher, I mean like My Way Usher, like old school Usher, like when Usher started. And the first R. Kelly's. And I had an aunt who was obsessed with R&B. So every time anything new came out, be it by Joe, be it Usher, R. Kelly, we always had the tape or the CD. And I guess growing up in that culture, even with cousins and brothers around me that listened to a lot of music, I guess it's just a habit that I developed as well, because I've always loved music. And even growing up, my mom told me that I would stand up and sing in church. Even though I don't remember, because I was probably a notorious toddler, but I guess these are the little building blocks. So she always knew that I'd be a musician, but I didn't figure it out until high school. And what then inspired my sound is, the love for harmonies, the love for fusion. My music is a fusion of different genres. I mean, you listen to it, you think it's R&B, but when you listen closely, you realize that it's not R&B. It's something deeper than R&B because it's heartfelt storytelling, but with the rhythm and tune, something to, carry it, like that Africanized kind of, I don't know, that Africanized kind of sound. Like you hear Africa in it, but it's not in your face, but you feel it.
Speaking of storytelling, just take us through the process of conceptualizing. How do you conceptualize these stories that you may end up making into music tunes?
Most of these stories are based on, true events. I don't make up things. I write stories based on my experiences or experiences of those around me. I mean, I'm an empath, so I can sit down and I have a friend who's, describing his heartbreak, or she's describing her heartbreak or her situation or situationship to me. And to me, this becomes, I just put together a narrative. I empathize and I put myself in her shoes or his shoes, and I tell a story around that because, like I said, being an empath, you tend to feel the emotions of others. So when I tune a channel into that frequency, it's easy for me to write because I've always been a poet. I mean, from a young age. So writing music was just an extension of my poetry. Writing, I've always had a way with words.
Yeah, man. So having said that, you said the next one that you play for us is Sambe. Just briefly tell us about Sambe and then you can.
Okay, so Sambe is a tricky one because, do you want the real story or do you want me to lie about it?
The real story.
Okay, I'm not going to mention any names though, but Sambe is based on, I don't know how best to put this without sounding like a turd. Okay, so Sambe was written for someone. Like I wrote it for someone, in the past where I was saying, listen, I get it. You have somebody and I know that, that's the situation, but I'm like, hey, nobody needs to know. Like I was ready to be, side dude number one, you know what I mean? But I ended up becoming the mains. And well, what happened after the story for another day. But anyway, for now, Sambe.
Yeah, man.
So Sambe is, hey man, Sambe is it's a song that holds quite a bit of memory. And it's just, but at the same time, it's a vibe because you're basically saying to someone, Asambe, let's go. Like, follow me. I know you got your baggage and I know that you got your person,
And you also have your own person.
Yeah, but you see, at that point in time, I didn't have a person. I wanted her to be my person, but my person had a person. So I was like, listen, you got a person. I want you to be my person. So what's up?
Yeah, man.
Basically, I asked this question. I said, question for you. Do you believe I can? If you say you're taking then I just have to be unfair. Honey, you got my rose, yeah. A whole bag full of those, but on me for not caring. But everybody knows that I want you to tell me, baby, I've got to get you to tell me, maybe you'll taste my love, cause I want your love, you please don't say no. But I want you to tell me, baby, I've got to get you to tell me, maybe you'll taste my love, cause I want your love, you please don't say no. Hey, baby, someday, yeah. Baby, yes, someday. Baby, someday, hey, does it kiss you like this? Ba, 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 do, ba, ba. Oh, when you bring in the region, he can put on his defenses. Girl, I'm good with fences. Let's ignite this fire, baby. He can put on his defenses. Girl, I'm good with fences. Let's ignite this fire, baby. Maybe someday, 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 someday. Maybe yeah, someday, 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 someday. Maybe someday, 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 someday. Maybe yeah, someday, 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 someday. I bless you with plenty, plenty, plenty. Yeah, I may give you every center, center, center. Yeah, I bless you with plenty, plenty, plenty. And give you every center, center, center. Baby, follow me, follow me, follow me. Baby, follow me, follow me, follow me. Maybe someday, oh yeah. Baby, yes, someday, oh yeah. Maybe someday, 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 someday. Maybe yes, someday, 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 someday.
Yeah, man.
Masambe.
Yeah, man. So, storytelling. The song is in your second album, Situationship 2,
Yeah, this is from the Situationship too.
which was released just before COVID.
Just before COVID, like literally a month before lockdown.
Yeah, yeah.
As soon as I was done with my lunch, like I think it was like 2 weeks deep, and then boom, COVID is in the building,
It's in the building.
and here we are today.
But things are better now.
Well, we could say that. The question is, are they really? I feel like, yeah, the situation is changing, but
Yeah.
I feel like COVID is here to stay. But I mean, at least we're fighting it. We've got vaccines in place to sort of battle COVID, but COVID is still there, and COVID is not going anywhere anytime soon.
So, the state of emergency, which came with COVID, lasted for about 18 months, which is 2 years, close to 2 years. And utilize that time to write your third album and produce it
Yeah.
at the same time.
I took that time to write the last situationship because I feel like being at home a lot gave me time to really think about things. I took things and put them into perspective, and because you see, music writing sometimes is storytelling, and sometimes to tell stories you need to remember. So, I mean, spending a lot of time in solitude allowed me to like really dig deep, into the archives, into the memory banks, and I realized that there was a lot of uncapped and untouched emotion there then that's what I really use to write my music. I write my music based on feeling, because I feel like if I feel something and I put it into words or I put it into verse, then the next person that hears it can feel the same thing. And I feel like when you do that, that's what makes music timeless, because if music is relatable, then it's relevant.
So take us through the third album, the Situationship 3.
Situationship 3.
Yeah.
Situationship 3, man, I don't know how to put it. You see, of all the albums I've done, I feel like this one was the most complicated, because with all the others it was natural. First album was R&B straight, The second album was Afrofusion. I'm like, okay, fine, let's put that signature in there. Let people know that I'm from Africa. Let there be that Africanness within my sound, and this is why I did a lot of Afro pop and played with a bit of neo soul as well, and a bit of trap soul too, just to give that, to show to show that as a musician I'm not really linear, but I'm diverse. I play with different genres. So with the last album, I feel like the last album was more of me actually now bringing out to introducing my actual sound, because now I went back to the first situationship and I mixed it with the second situationship, because I picked up elements from both to create the final sound. Because this one is not just R&B, but it's how do I put it? It's like a tribal R&B, because within, I mean, even from the backing vocals that you hear from most of the songs that I did with Colin Dabezintle, there's a lot of African chants in there, you know, things that are like, you know, signatures. You close your eyes, you hear them, you hear the ululation, you know, you hear the hand claps, and you hear those African sounds. You feel like you're back home. And that's what I'm trying to create. I'm trying to create a sound that doesn't run away from Africa, but a sound that's universal at the same time. I want a sound that's relatable, because I feel like music is universal, whether you understand the language or not. Sometimes words, even if it's words that you cannot really interpret, I feel like just the way in which they are placed in music sort of paints a picture. I mean, it's like looking at an abstract painting. A dot to you may not just be a dot, it could be a planet in a vast universe of nothingness. So that's how it is. I feel like I created music that allows people to interpret it the way that they want to. I wasn't forcing it at them. And at the same time, it's a situationship. So I'm talking about real life situations that everyone has been through, or most people are experiencing right now.
All right. So I had the opportunity of seeing you perform the unreleased album a few weeks ago in Gaborone, and most of the tracks I vibe. So which producer did you work with there? I'm sure they also added some impetus in creating that vibe.
I feel like I worked with a couple of producers for this album. I worked with Bangu. Recently started working with Bangu. Bangu is an amazing musician. He's an amazing musician. At the same time, he's also an amazing producer. And with Bangu pushed me beyond my bounds, because as a singer, I realized that I got comfortable. And with Bangu, well, he wasn't letting that slide. Like the moment I'm singing my comfort songs, like Taf, you know, sometimes it's okay to be uncomfortable. Sometimes it's okay to push a little forward, because within that struggle, you find a new melody. And I have songs that I did there, like Lullaby and Stutter, which I sang in notations that I usually don't use. Like the keys I was using are not the standard keys. I mean, I know that I'm a versatile singer. I sing in different voices, but this for me was different, because I'm used to sounding in a certain way. And then, of course, Stretch Aleezy, baby, you know, that's my boy, man. Stretch gave me that chrome folk R&B. We've got a song there called Cold, where I'm basically talking about how a person, I mean, you're talking to this girl and you're trying to vibe, but she's just cold, you know. She's just cold towards you, and she doesn't realize that you're ready to be anything that she needs you to be, but she's just not having it. And I worked with Royal DJ, that's Prince Majai, and he's an amazing producer, and even the way he mixes and masters. I mean, I did the song Kitchen with him, and a couple of other songs on the album, and he understands my sound because we've been working together for years. I've also got a song in there with KD Bangers, my boy. KD, he's the king of Afro pop, man. I don't care what people say, I don't care what people believe, man, but that man is a monster when it comes to production. And I also worked with ECL. He came in and put in some keys. I worked with Ndabe Zinhle. He was the game changer in this album, because he then brought back that tribal soul, because the sound that he threw in the whoop up, and you've got all the claps you see that just takes you home. That's our roots. Those are the origins of our music. And you know, that should be it, actually. 'Cause I didn't really work with that many people. Yeah, but I mean, just the effort, you know, the collaborative effort of, you know, the music that we then put together on this album. I think it was magical, because it wasn't unforced. It was just chemistry based. We came together and realized what we wanted to do, and we did it.
Aye. So take us through your first single from the upcoming album. It's called Asambe.
Asambe.
No, it's not Asambe actually. It's called
Bottles and Silhouettes. Models and Silhouettes. Bottles and Cigarettes.
Yeah.
People give it their own names. I mean, others call it Bottles and Cigarettes. Others call it Models and Silhouettes.
Yeah.
That's a single from the last album. This one was actually weirdly enough, I wrote it with a fellow artist. Her name is Pink, Royal Pink. She's based in Maung, an amazing musician, beautiful as well. So I remember she came through with the bottles and cigarettes concept. She's like, ain't no it's like, ain't no love in this. It's bottles and cigarettes. It's bottles and cigarettes. Yeah, and we're supposed to record, and then like she disappeared. So we spoke over time, and then we decided, you know what, just let's go for it and just see what happens. So I sat down one day and I'm just thinking, ain't no us, ain't no love in this. It's bottles and cigarettes, eh? It's models and silhouettes, eh? What was us? Lost this part in this. To pleasure the misery, yeah. There's no us, it's just you and me, yeah. You see, where you're saying there's no us left here, it's just bottles and cigarettes, it's just stress, you know, it's just the pain, the memories of missing each other, but at the same time, it was all models and silhouettes. It was all fugazi. Like everything that we experienced was a dream. It was just a brand. It was a disaster waiting to happen. But we knew that it was gonna end badly. But we still went for it. And even though shit hit the fan, we still stood by it. And now we're suffering for holding on to the things that we knew were gonna hurt us. But it was still beautiful.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Take us through the jam session.
So, ain't no us, ain't no heart in this. It's bottles and cigarettes, yeah. It's models and silhouettes, eh. Ain't no us, ain't no heart in this. It's bottles and cigarettes, eh. It's models and silhouettes, eh. What was us? Lost this part in this. To pleasure the misery, yeah. There's no us, it's just you and me, yeah. Catch this middle finger, I'm ready, poke the trigger. Listen, smelly, I get it, we scared, deadly, forget it, we set sail. Drowning in mad hail, this ocean is hot, hell, can stomach it, I'm pale, you said. And I hope that I could feel again, but you got me acting all American. Overdosing on your Novocaine. You made me a fiend for your loving it. You went south, you won't drop. I was dependent on you to teach me to love proper. Your type of love burn fast like cigarettes. I breathe your fumes and your poison with consequence. Since I put all my eggs in your basket, closed casket. I'm dead loving the feeling of being your only blacksmith. I sharpen the words that you used to impale me, and I still stuck around. Cause the way you reject me tight, the way you reject me tight. Oh, no eyes, ain't no heart in this. It's bottles and cigarettes, eh. It's bottles and silhouettes, eh. What was us? Lost this part in days. To pleasure the misery, yeah. There's no us, it's just you and me, yeah. My sick passion, love mansion. I'm purring on your curves and I'm pinching your midsection. Watch my reaction, I'm ready, steady, prepping your body, your bad behavior, damn right. I need to savor you daily, whether you love or you hate me. I'm still a slave to your cruelty, and I know I'm a servant of beauty. I'm weak, yes, I fall apart whenever you choose me. I fell apart whenever you choose me, so I lay me down and let you run through me. I know I fall apart whenever you choose me, but I lay me down and let you run through me. Say rainbows don't last forever, but when the sun shines we can brave forever. Wish we could hold hands and enjoy the weather, but we so far gone we don't see together. I said rainbows don't last forever, but when the sun shines we can brave forever. Wish we could hold hands and enjoy the weather, but we're so far gone we don't see together. Say rainbows don't last forever, but when the sun shines we can brave forever. Wish we could hold hands and enjoy the weather, but we're so far gone we don't see together. Ain't no us, ain't no heart in this. It's bottles and cigarettes, yeah. It's Models and silhouettes.